game at the halftime, when we had 10 in the first half, and we bounced back with one, and we made the turn. So it's a big improvement. We'll keep working on that to get that down to none one time somewhere. What's up?
At what point in the game did you realize that it was only a couple of them? There weren't many whistles this year.
No, it was well, they out penalized us in that one. It's only happened a couple times this year, so we're really happy to see that. I have a little clicker in my pocket.
So what was the secret then on the penalty?
I wish I knew. No, we really tried. We knew we needed to play smart in this game. Unfortunately, we made a lot of good decisions, and guys made some great choices, and we kept it to really for us a bare minimum. And in a tight game, which it was, it could make a difference. I think it did help us. It really helped us in this game.
What was this week all about? Your two practices, you're not necessarily prepared for everybody to take them.
Yeah, this is bye week. This is really it's a bye week for us, and what does that mean? For us, we're going to fundamentals. We want to really see if we can get better, and get rested as well. We'll take full advantage of the rest time, but we're still gonna have we had good meetings today. We'll have 2 really good days of work, and then we'll gain a little advantage on the Monday work when we come back. So we're going to stress the things that give you the best chance to win, which is blocking and tackling and doing those things really well. And hopefully by the time we get to the game week, we'll have improved a little bit.
That's Jordan Hill.
We'll see. He's got a chance, in a couple weeks. We're going to see how it goes. It wasn't such that he's out or anything like that. So we're both he and Jerron have a chance to make it back with really good fortune. That could happen.
Guys who were out, Farrell and Max and guys like that.
Those guys will all come roaring back at us this week. We'll get a little surge there, and it'll be good to see those guys come back. Coop will get back as well, and those are really important additions to the roster and the competition for the game roster coming up the week to follow.
How about TJ Wright? Is he fine? TJ?
Yeah, he's dislocated his finger. He had a bad dislocation, but he'll be okay.
You finished, despite all the injuries and personnel changes in the offense, you finished in the top 10 in offense during the season. What's the biggest things that you think happened that perhaps were unexpected in terms of production?
Well, I think the thing that stands out the most is I think the coaches did a really good job of developing the backup guys, so that when the time came for them to be called on, we didn't lose anything. We didn't have the continuity in the offensive line much of the year, and I think Tom did a great job with fitting guys together and making it work, and we led the league in rushing, and that's not that's hard to do that, and a lot of guys played and a lot of guys contributed. I think that kind of across the board was the fact that the coaches continued to develop everybody on the roster, and so that when they were called to play, they fit in and they excelled, and there's numerous examples of that, and we were very fortunate. I think it's also a statement about John's work on the roster to make sure that we have great depth and all of that. But we lost a lot of guys. I think we had 16 or so guys were IR during the course of the year here. And that's like the teams that had the most. That's up in there somewhere. So we weren't free of injury, but we had very good fortune with the guys stepping up and making plays and the young guys coming through. And it showed again in yesterday's game, too.
Jordan, how much has his improvement helped you guys in the latter part of the season?
Well, it really did because he really caught on, late in the year to becoming more effective. He took over that role that McDonald had last year, and we had hoped that he could, contribute like that, and they wound up with the same, 5.5 sacks for the year, which is pretty cool. So it worked out. It'll be a big deal if we don't have him. He's really become a good part of the four-man rush.
What's the likelihood of you rank first spot?
He should be fine. Yeah, he'll be fine. We'll make sure that this is a good, productive week. We won't test him to the point where we re-injure. We want to make sure he gets through this week, but he's coming back, which there should be no question by next week.
How about DeMarcus Dobbs? Where's his status?
He's getting close to being able to work this week. By the next week, we think he'll be in full flow. So it's really feeling all of those guys you just mentioned, 5-6 guys coming back to us will really help us. It'll be making those decisions much more difficult on the roster when it comes to game time, but that's a really good thing.
Issue with Richard Sherman, he had an ankle thing or something. You showed a picture getting treatment on. He fine?
He's okay.
Considering how early your guys' bye was, week 5, how important is having this rest at this point?
It's huge. It's a huge advantage. Just for just all of the health purpose. The rest is important, but we're playing fast at the end of the year right now. Where our energy is there, and we look like we're in mid-season form in that regard. So I don't have any problem with that. But it's really for the injury factor, and we'll be a little bit fresher, which is really it's really a plus this time of year. So of course it works out very well. The best part about it is coming home, though. Where we are. It's not so much the rest; it's playing at home.
You talked about Earl's impact plenty before, but what have you kind of seen from him this year? I mean, obviously, maybe the stats quite aren't there, but what have you seen from him?
He has been more consistent than he's ever been. He's been at his best, and as it happens, when you gain the notoriety and the respect is demonstrated by the fact that the ball doesn't go your way and he doesn't see much. But that's a big, big plus for us. That means that post routes and seam routes don't happen against us, and that's huge because that's how people score the most in the league, So with the throwing game, so he's been a huge factor. He had 11 tackles yesterday. The play of the day is that ball. He knocks out with an inch to go at the goal line. He's taken great pride in continuing to develop. He just will not rest at getting better, and he keeps working at it on a daily basis and week to week. It's hugely important to him that he's growing as a player, and he's done that. So he's a fantastic aspect of our team.
When you know that teams aren't going to challenge you on those seam routes or posts and things like that, I mean, how much does that help you guys?
Well, I think the numbers that came out, we led the league in pass defense, I think it's a big factor. And when you have corners that can make plays like our guys, Maxey had another terrific game for us, and we've had Richard, for these years just being such a factor. I mean, it all fits together, so it's good stuff. I think we had the fewest explosive plays this year, which those are the kinds of things we're looking at now to see where we stand. That's hugely a story told by what's going on in the back end. Those guys, eliminating long runs and then catches and runs, and then just the deep balls in general. This is a passing league. People throw the ball over the yard, and our guys are great back there.
The job that Paul Richardson's done down the stretch here, is that him getting more chances or getting more into it, or is it a combination of the two?
No, it's more opportunities for sure. I think he's had 10 balls in the last 2 games, which is a great contribution, and he's variety of like we said before, a variety of routes that he runs and things that he's doing for us. It's really just opportunity. And you know, he's better now than he was earlier in the year. Of course, he's much more comfortable with what we're asking him to do. Russell's really comfortable with him. Russell really can feel him on his routes, and they've timed up a lot of things lately in the last month or so that have looked really high class for us, and you know, we're really going with him. We think we've got a really good player there.
The run defense numbers this year ended up being better than last year. Given some of the guys, especially up front, that you lost going into the season, you know, maybe people thought that was a question or whatever. What did you see come together there that made the run defense kind of be better?
Continuity, you know, just believing in the system and the scheme, and guys really taking great pride in it. That's a fantastic number to be in that range again. It's so hard to do that, you know, and just the overall performance and the consistency of this defense over that, you know, 2-3 years time has really been remarkable that we've been able to do that, and that's the players and it's the coaches doing a good job. The scheme has worked out well for us. We're very simple in what we do, but we do it very well. But that's you know, that Tony did a terrific job again. I think probably maybe one of the big surprises he asked about might be Kevin. You know, Kevin playing so well, replacing you know, Brandon. You know, how would we ever think that could happen? But he's that kind of player, and he came through and transitioned to a new spot and all. And the latter part of this year, really, I think he was the Kansas City game was his first start, wasn't it? You know, from that point on, you know, we've really been on fire, and he's been a big part of that. So I think it's really consistency, continuity, belief in the scheme. The players really take great pride in it, and then really good players doing it.
How much, when you got Williams here, did you ever see him do the nose?
You know, he's just been in and around. He's been a 3 technique and a 5 technique, much more, a lot of 3 technique stuff. You know, fundamentally, there's a lot of things that are similar. You know, your footwork, the steps that you take, and the hand placement and all that. It's similar. Scheme-wise, it's a little bit different. He's such a savvy player that it just made sense to him because he's been around so long. I don't think he's played a whole lot there, though. But, you know, when you play nickel, you get knocked around to those spots, and so it's not that unfamiliar, but yet the burden of playing the running game that we're getting attacked with, you know, and the consistency of that and the scheming that happens there, he's still getting going. He'll get better. He'll still improve.
Very reports of teams interested in Gus. Quinn.
Time warp.
Yeah. You heard from anybody yet on him?
Yeah, we have. What we'd like to do is just let the teams that are doing their work, you know, speak for who they're talking to and all that, so we don't have to address that in that regard. But there are some, there have been the calls coming in and the requests and stuff like that.
You guys are the first defense to lead the league in scoring defense 3 straight years since the Vikings, the Purple People leaders, really in the 70s. Does that hold any special meaning for you that you guys have been able to put together?
Yeah. I think it's a real point of pride. You know, that that kind of consistency is rare. You know, and so you know, when you match up with a team that's got a nickname like that, you know, that's pretty good stuff, you know. Having been an old Viking, and you know, I take a little extra pride in that. It was a great time for them in the defense that they played, and I know Bud had great regard for those guys that played for all those years. You know, there was a point he would say that they started the same 11 guys for 7 straight years. If you can imagine that in this day and age, you know, that's where they got their nickname, because they played together so long and were so good at it. And all that, Bob Holloway and all those guys. But that's it. Yeah, I think it's a pretty significant stat.
Is there anything specific you took away from that time you had with him?
Yeah, tons. I think a lot. I've never been around such a remarkable person, to be in this business. He's just amazing instincts and savvy and feel for what's going on and timing and sense for people and he in his enigmatic way he could get so much out of people. He was just really something, and I love being around him. I really did. It was really a great joy because he was just so special. And so.
Any thoughts on Harbaugh not being in the division anymore?
Yeah, it's good he's out of here in that regard. He was tough, and I wish him the very best. He had a fantastic run in this division and meant a lot to us building up a little bit of reputation for being a hard-nosed, tough division. And I'm sure they'll make a great replacement and all that kind of stuff. But he was tough to go against. I enjoy it.
Do you think this has been Marshawn's best season?
Yeah, I do. I think he's been on his game most consistently. Unfortunately, the last couple of weeks, he's had a little issue getting started and all that, getting going at game time. But his production is really good. His pass catching has been really good. 17 touchdowns. They said, that's a fantastic football season, and I think he's. I think I've been saying it all year long. It's the best we've ever seen him, the most consistent and all that. And he carried it all the way through the whole schedule, and did a great job.
Comment on the impact Will Tuiawaku has had. Came in as a fullback to replace Derek, but then played both ways. That's pretty unusual.
Yeah, I'm glad you pointed out, Tony, because it's such a rare accomplishment for anybody. It didn't happen, we can't remember guys that can do stuff like this, and he's really good at it. He does a nice job. His effect has been obvious from the beginning. 285-pound fullback, that's pretty cool, and he lays the wood, and he's now. I know he was up there talking to Sherm. He wants more carries, and so he's griping by not getting the ball enough. But nice, I did that. But that, as well as he contributes on special teams and he plays defense for us, we work him right into the rotations when we need him. That's unique, and he's a remarkable kid. And he's really fit in well, and he's tough as nails, and it's been a great addition. He's just like right in the style of guys we like to have in the program.
Can you describe the virtues and liabilities of the 6-inch punch?
I may be able to do that, but we'd have to defer. I would defer to Rocky Seto, so you have to have a press conference with Rocky. He's the master of the 6-inch punch.
As best you can.
No, it's a technique of striking that is used in a lot of aspects of the animal kingdom. We found, and so whether it's a kangaroo or a ram headbutting, we look for that 6-inch punch, and we found it even significant in shoulder punching as well, which I know is a unique term and phrase that you don't know anything about. But, yeah, it's just...
But in the NFL kingdom, what are you hoping to accomplish with minimum detection?
Great power. Yeah, we're trying to knock the ball out, or strike when you hit people. And as we're a shoulder tackling football team, there's an ability to strike with your shoulder that adds, an additional punch. So it's not just the punch that you would think of with your fist. But we're attacking the football all the time. We had a perfect example of Bobby doing it on the ball that he knocked out that we scored a touchdown on. And Earl went a little more open-handed with his 6-inch punch, kind of the karate chop thing that knocked the ball out down by the goal line. But those are both prime examples of the power of the 6-inch punch.
Has this season been more gratifying for you?
Next topic.
Has it been more gratifying for you because of some of the issues you dealt with earlier, the injuries and the drama?
It's been quite gratifying because of the challenge of answering the Super Bowl accomplishment. Well, I went into this year with the thought that this was a very unique chance at showing that you can handle all of that. It's been difficult for people, and the history of it shows you that it's hard to come back and get yourself in this kind of position again. And so this is exactly where we hoped we would be right now. It's precisely where we hoped to be. So that's something we've accomplished that is rewarding to this point. Start all over again now. Now it's the postseason, but and then you mentioned something. There was some stuff. The stuff that you deal with every season. There's issues. Every coach is always faced with challenges and hurdles and obstacles and all that, and how you deal with them and how you come out of them is what's important. And we had a big change that we made during the year, and we responded, and we've improved since then. And whether that had something to do with it or not, I don't know, but we were challenged, and we were challenged with injuries, we were challenged with matchups and rivalries and all the things that you guys want to bring up for us, all the time. And I'm really proud that we've made it to this point. We've got a lot of work yet to do.
When you look back, what's the biggest benefit of the Percy Harvin trade? With a little time in between it.
I think we returned to the kind of a strength of our knowing our guys and how to use them and how to implement their strengths. We always talk about unique qualities that players have, and we may have lost connection with some of that. I think Doug has really come to life. I think the way we've used the tight ends have really come to life for us, and Jermaine has been a big factor throughout the year, and we've seen the young receivers and Paul and Kevin helping us. I think all of those things we found that we rediscovered the things that had been good to us, that we had just fallen out of somewhat, and so that it helped us in many ways.
You guys have talked about the kind of cohesion and trust and stuff like that. How much did the Percy trade and kind of
I don't think that had anything to do with it at all. I think the fact that we weren't playing very well, and we weren't connecting with our best was really what was there, and we had to rediscover what that was. And that was about playing for one another, and that was, as simple as that sounds, it was a huge transformational realization for us, and we figured out something that was really key, and it became what you see. You saw it.
Before the season, the message from you and players.
Did I say transformational realization?
Hey, that was
Jeez. I was just talking about that earlier.
Before the season, the message from you and a lot of players was, that the Super Bowls in the past doesn't matter. You guys approach everything the same. But whether there should be or not, was there some lingering effect in retrospect?
There is an effect. Yeah, there's an obvious effect because you're unique in what you've done and all that, and we addressed it from the first meeting we got back here that we're going to deal. We did it. We figured it out. It just took us a long time. It took us longer than we would like. But, the thing that happened this year just happened in different order than what happened last year. Last year we started really fast, and then we took a swoon, and then we got back going again. This year we had trouble getting started, and we left those 3 games out there, and we lost them, and then we came back and won a bunch from that point. And I was hoping that, I think I said it in there, I was hoping that that was what was going to be the case, that we already, figured out those were the issues and see if we can get back on track. And we were, and we did. So, but there is a factor, and I think it's a positive factor, not a negative factor. It's a positive factor. We've been there before. We've been through this now, and so hopefully it'll make us stronger as we move forward.
You talked about that. You just said that it sounds simple, and I think when you say it, it does kind of sound as a pretty basic concept. But how difficult was that, and is that to be able to kind of recreate and recapture some of that stuff?
Some of the chemistry thing, it's I think every team is faced with it every year. It's not just you got it and then you have it from now on. You have to get connected to what makes you reach in to bring out your best, and it's those around you really help draw that. There's more power, there's greater power in the group, and as you stand alone, you can only go so far. But when you mix and you interact and you create the inspiration for other people and all of that, that's where the great power comes from. And we listened really carefully to Bill Russell, and he spoke about. He sat right in this room and spoke about team and what the important aspects of understanding how to play at your best. And he talked about it, loving your teammates, and it couldn't be more true. We heard it. We knew what the message was. We just hadn't connected with it yet, and playing for one another is more powerful than we ever know. So that's it.
Jordan Hill and Gerard Johnson, do they have a chance to get back to practice for you when you come back next week, or what do you feel?
They won't. No, we won't practice those guys this next week. There'll be guys that will benefit from the week, and they'll take the week off from that kind. They'll be rehabbing, of course, but we'll wait all the way till we loop all the way to next week for those guys. They were hurt significantly, and they need to see if that time will allow them in 2 weeks' time to get back. We don't know, but they're not out at this point.
Having won it once, does the buy-in become easier for the new players you're bringing in, both draftees and veterans?
I think that's dictated by the leadership. I think it's the guys on the team that lead, and there was really a significant thing that Paul Richardson said earlier on a radio interview, that he realized kind of the leadership and what they stood for, and he was talking, and he mentioned Cam and Earl and Richard, how they had shown him what this was all about and what it was like to be a real man in the NFL, and said some really cool things. I think that's where the connection comes from. When you have guys that can live it and demonstrate it on a regular basis to the point where it's obvious to the younger guys that okay, I want to be more like them. And Paul made a really clear declaration of that, and I think it was very significant. And I think he helped other guys understand that too, if you talk about buy-in, and that kind of thing.
Is it unusual that the leadership on this team is so young?
I think so. Yeah, they're really young players, and I don't know how many of our guys are fifth-year guys yet. That's kind of a bit of a marker. We're just getting there. So, there's a lot of optimism for the future because of the youth of our team and the continuity that we think we are developing by re-signing our guys and keeping it together as best we can. There's a lot of excitement about going down the road and what's next, and the big draft class coming up and adding to it and all of that, and the competition that will generate will only make us better, I hope. And So a lot of good stuff happening.
How tough has Russell Wilson been the last 2 weeks?
That came up today in the interview on the radio, but it's not been a topic that people have brought up about how tough Russell is. There is not a tougher competitor that we have on our team, and we've got some real tough guys here. Russell would go through anything to play for these guys. He would do whatever it absolutely took, and he would do it. And he happens to have the power of discretion. He knows when to and when not to. That really allows him to maintain his health and stay out there on the field. But there's nobody that would work harder, try harder, do more for you, play for the guy next to him than he would. And I think he's tough as nails, and he's not going to tell you when things are bothering him. He's just going to make it through it, and we have to really work hard with him because he's so tough-minded about making sure that he's always going to be available for his opportunities. And he hasn't missed very much, and hopefully he can keep going in that same manner.
He told us that he does not want to miss a practice in his career. That's his goal. Is that, as a coach, is that a wise goal to have?
I'm not surprised he said that. I'm not surprised. That's how he is and who he is, and that's exactly what I guess. If you give me a chance, I'd say he probably would say. He doesn't miss anything, and he doesn't miss a rep. Remember, it started off right from the beginning. We should have known. When he took 500 passes or something in the first mini camp or whatever that was. As a rookie, he didn't miss a snap there. So he's just continued being that throughout.
What have you thought of Robert Turbin's season this year?
I think Robert has done very well. He's been very consistent. He looked great in the game the other day and yesterday, and continues to try to maximize his ops. And he's a great kid, great practice guy, great study guy. He does everything that you want him to do. He's a great guy, and I think he's played very well.
With Russell, has there ever been a time, that if he was either just kind of banged up or just throwing a lot of practice, he wanted to dial it back and he wouldn't do it? Or?
No, I haven't done that yet. I haven't.
You guys have gone 6 straight games without giving up a point in the fourth quarter. Is there most of the time you're playing with a lead in that circumstance, is there anything important defensively about playing from ahead, especially late in the game?
Yeah, I mean, you have more opportunities to get the ball with your opponent. That's certainly the case. They're more one-dimensional, and the throwing game is part of the deal. And that shows up so that you can rush more pointedly. You can adjust your coverages more directly to the throwing game and not have to take care of the running game. That certainly helps you. It's always been the case of that's where you start to add up the turnovers. It happened yesterday again. And that's generally what you count on. Yeah. I think that's a really cool stat too, though. I love that stat. Fourth quarters of these games, them being able to score. It's about finishing. And that's something we take great pride in.
With the way you guys finished the season the last 6 weeks, is it as simple as saying you guys had a team meeting, got a couple guys back healthy, and that solved everything, or is there more to it?
You got it. In a nutshell.
Anything else? Thank you.